Hello everyone, my name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today with us, our dear Sunny Chayes, whom is not only the host of this show, but also the host of ABC Solutionary Sundays. She is the feature writer and chief strategist for Whole Lifetimes, the longest running conscious life magazine in America. She is also a producer, moderator, and mythbuster. Is going to be talking with Kristie Reeves. Before starting with them, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world. You can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that is going to benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. We also want you to collaborate with Mindalia with your own valuable content. And for that, you can go to our website. On the top, you're going to find the link that says Collaborate with Mindalia. That link is going to take you to a form that you can fill out, and our technical team will be getting in contact with you. You can collaborate with us in English through Mindalia TV English, but you can also do it in Spanish through Mindalia Televisión and Portuguese through Mindalia Televisão. Visit our different channels, follow our Facebook pages, Instagram accounts. In that way, you not only help us reach as much people in the world as possible, but you also keep yourself updated with the wonderful information that we're sharing there on a daily basis. I'm not going to be delaying this any further. I'm going to now leave you with Sunny and with our wonderful guest. Sunny, welcome to Mindalia live streaming once again. The screen is yours.
Here today. This is so awesome, and I would love to invite you to stay with us today and chat. Will you please do that?
I will gladly do it.
So great. You know, we were at the Conscious Life Expo together. You flew out, and it was so wonderful to have you there. It was such a big surprise for me, and it was just so super to have you there. And we got to see Marianne Williamson and Dr. Sue Morter, and all kinds of people were there. Wasn't it something else?
It was a wonderful experience. My favorite part was, of course, sharing with you. And since I'm not good at keeping secrets, I'm going to tell everybody that you cook wonderful almond butter sandwiches.
You know, it was so great because you have special food things, and it was so fun to go to the hotel with your sister Ella, who's so darling, and just play and have fun and jump around and be able to do all the wild things at the Conscious Life Expo. And one thing that I loved, that you were having questions for Dr. Sue when we did the show with her. That was so cool. And then today, one of the things that I really want to talk about is that from the Conscious Life Expo, I mean, as wonderful as it can be in a lot of ways, I also find it a lot of talking and not necessarily action. I do find it, I mean, there's just a lot of people with a lot of stuff to say and a lot of things to sell and a lot. And when I left, I felt like, gosh, I really want to, take it to the streets, get real with this stuff, bring it in, embody it, make it happen, and just follow our spiritual breadcrumbs, find our journeys, and step by step, inch by inch sometimes. Sometimes we're in the quantum jump and the leap and the dance, and sometimes it really is, oh gosh, get me through the next hour. And so I was so excited. I had my friend, a dear friend, and one of the people I respect so much in the world, Kristie Reeves, come down from Northern California to come to LA. And so she's actually with me today in the studio, which is so fun. And I just wanted to do a quick little introduction, and then we're all going to chat. Does it sound like a plan?
Sounds perfect. I'm going to ask you for something really quick that I didn't realize before. Can you get a little bit closer to Kristie so we can fully see you and we can see the awesome outfit that you're wearing, please?
Lean into it. Let's do it. So I'm going to tell you a couple things about Kristie, and then we're going to kind of drop things in as we go along. But I want you to know that she does a really phenomenal practice of Akashic record reading, which is such an important thing, because we have our patterns, or we have pain, or we have something that goes on in our life that we just don't understand. It's like, why do I keep going to that same guy, or why does this certain thing trigger me, or why can't I succeed in this area when I've done all the steps and I know I can, and I've done all the the affirmations and everything, and it's still kind of not happening. And sometimes it can be because it's something that's really been from a past life, and to dissolve that and work through that, it just melts away, and then we just go forward with ease. So the Akashic record reading, Kristie Master here, one thing, she also produces a really phenomenal series called The Children of the Rainbow, and it's about all different kinds of children, and she had children on, she had masters of children, book people, teachers, musicians, all kinds of people who inspire children throughout the years, in educators. And then she also had a lot of things. She had a really great show on UBN, where I also am, called Rebel Hearts, and it sounds like it is. And right now, she is the co-founder of a new fun thing that's coming to the world called Avatria, and it's on online academy, and it's just, you know, sort of birthing right now as we speak. I mean, it's been happening for a little bit, but as you know, as life is, it's pretty birthy news energy. And she teaches programs of the indigo warrior, and I just love the word even warrior these days. It's like so much like the joyful warrior that Kamala Harris calls us to be. You know, it's like, it's not it's just positive. So let us introduce Kristie to our show.
Welcome, Kristie. Welcome.
Thank you for the beautiful introduction.
My pleasure.
Welcome to Mindalia live streaming, Kristie. We are happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Marina. It's so good to be back and see you again.
Yes. Tell us, what are you going to be telling us today? What's that awesome wisdom that you're going to be sharing with us? Because I have 100,000 questions for you.
Okay. Sounds good. Perfect.
Well, go.
So,
do you want your opening statement?
My opening statement. It was actually really interesting. Sunny and I had a beautiful chat last night about things that we can share with the Mindalia TV audience. Because Sunny, as you know, is all about solutions. And what can we do? What are some easy things that we can bring into our everyday life? That, you know, where we don't have to go through big sessions or seminars, just like some easy tools. So we actually have a wonderful list of tools and stories that I'm going to share. And I'm excited to share with your community.
Yes, and we are definitely excited to be having you, because I'm in contact with a lot of people every day, and I get to see what are those itches that we have. And the same as Sunny, we're always learning, we're always trying to grow, we're always trying to find this new thing or find this other approach that we haven't heard before on the very same topic, to be honest.
Yeah.
The question that I want to open this is the following. We learn, okay, intellectually. We know so much about so many things. Why is it so hard to bring that thing we're learning to practice? Why is it so hard to actually live it? And it's more or less what Connie was saying. Okay, we're in the Conscious Life Expo and we're seeing so much, but let's go ahead and do it. What is stopping us? What's the rock in the shoe that is not allowing us to finally put into practice all that knowledge that's been rolling with us in our DNA for centuries?
For centuries. That is such an awesome question, Marta, and there's so much to say about that. I feel like we've been living specific patterns and programs for so many years in this lifetime, and maybe even throughout many incarnations. So what we're doing is we're bringing in a new consciousness, or we are reawakening an old consciousness, a higher consciousness that is within our DNA, but that was kind of shut down for a long, long time. And I describe that consciousness kind of like this diamond that has always been with us and always will be. But the diamond has been covered up by layers and layers of programs and traumas and pain and all these things. So we cannot really often reach that diamond until we remove these traumas and the pain and dive into it and heal it. But the diamond, you know, is always there. And it is like a muscle also to reactivate that diamond and strengthen it. So let's say, you did a phenomenal workshop and you're completely inspired, and then you go back to your everyday life, and within 3 or 4 days, it's like out the window, right? Because we go back to this, our regular schedule, and we forget to implement the things that we have learned. We forget to train the muscle. And we have trained the muscle of the mundane for so long that it's time for now to train that spiritual muscle. And we train the spiritual muscle by doing something every single day to access it. If you want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you have to go to the gym every day and lift those weights, right? And if we want to have a spiritual consciousness, we have to go and access that spiritual consciousness every single day. It's not something that just like pops up and all of a sudden takes over our lives. It is something that requires regular usage.
So would you say, though, again, because that can kind of feel overwhelming, because that's part of the challenge, is that you go to something, or like, let's say you do a workshop and they give you all these tools and you're immersed in it and you're with the people and you're all in it. I feel like when I've been in that situation, I've been, all things have happened. A lot of it has dropped away. Sometimes I've done it and it's really impacted and completely changed my life. Like when I do things with Dr. Sue, it seems to really invite, because and that's what I was going to say. Maybe, do you recommend that we kind of tune in, maybe take notes during the workshop or something, and we just, as we're doing it, we feel like, okay, this thing I can actually do, this thing I can actually do, like 3 points that I can really do, and then maybe as we go through, there might be 7 points we can add in or something, because we are creatures of habit, like you were just really saying.
Absolutely. And we put in our appointment on our scheduling calendar what time to pick up the kids and what time we have our meetings and what time to do this. So why not even, let's say you're coming from inspired workshops and you're learning certain tools, why not put them on your schedule? You create the schedule for the week and say, on Monday at 5, I'm going to do this. On Tuesday at noon, I'm going to do this. So you're actually adding the spiritual tools to either practice or just like do some reading for an hour and making that commitment by putting it in your calendar. And it's really interesting. We're currently teaching something called the Indigo Warrior Training Program. And we call this particular one Wielding the Sword. And it's really to empower the spiritual leaders. And in order to become the spiritual leader, we need to bring these tools in our daily life. So every Saturdays, our students are actually getting a schedule for the week that starts on Sunday and goes until the following Saturday. And we're telling them, in the morning you do this, in the afternoon you do this, in the evening do this. We're actually giving them a schedule to implement the spiritual tools or take time to, sit down and tune in throughout the week, every single day, 3 times a day. And it's sometimes just a 5-minute thing. It doesn't have to be, I have to sit down for a whole hour. Just taking 5 or 10 minutes for some kind of spiritual practice or reading will automatically start training that muscle.
Ooh, I like that. And on one hand, it may feel like, okay, we have so much schedule already. I mean, you just don't give you one more thing. At the same time, I think that we've gotten to a point, or I feel we've gotten to a point in our spiritual development as a community where we understand balance, or we may not understand balance, but that's kind of my favorite word lately, finding the balance and realizing that there are times when we perhaps are out of balance, doing many, many things at the computer. The new millennials, I have a 29-year-old son, and they have this thing that they do now when they're working, because they're at the computer like a bunch of time for hours, and they put in their phone a reminder every 15 minutes to stand up and like walk around the table and sit back down. That's or awesome. That's when they get coffee, or that's when they, whatever. But they cannot just sit for hours and hours. So it's like those little things that I think are coming into probably the minds and hearts of many out there in Mindalia land, that kind of infusing some schedule and to allow ourselves, because we feel, I'm sure, kind of out of balance. I mean, Myrna, you're a mom with a young child. I mean, she's not that young, but, do you feel sometimes out of balance?
Absolutely. Completely. Yes. It happens to me on a daily basis. And I would say that is the thing about parenting. is that it's so important for you because you know me. I'm a, working, I'm a very balanced person. I rarely get disadjusted. But I would say that parenting is that only thing that you know that you have to do it right, that you kind of forget that regardless of how you do it, you're going to do it right because they chose you and you're the mother they need. But it's so stressful knowing that maybe you are, dropping the ball, that to me, it creates a lot of stress. And I tend to be so stiff as a mother that it's just not me. It's just not me. And just but trying not to drop the ball, I end up dropping it bluntly. But we're all there. I try to tell her all the time, like, although I get upset, I need you to know that I love you.
Yeah.
And tell me more about the Akashic Records. I want to know how to use them because I wanted these to be named and like our conversation, how to use it as a healing tool. What do you do with people and to people so they can finally like drop the backpack they've been carrying and start living a new life?
Yes.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Yeah. See, the thing is, when I first started doing this work to uncover patterns, I would go back to my childhood, and sometimes I couldn't even find the patterns in my childhood. Things that were showing up in my life didn't make sense. Or I would work with clients, and we would look at the childhood, but whatever we were clearing wouldn't really clear all the way. And then I uncovered the Akashic Records, and I call the Akashic Records the Cosmic Library. So it's kind of like the document files of all of our lifetimes. It's the book of our different incarnations. So when you dive into the Akasha, I see it, for me it looks like a movie, but for other people it literally looks like a big book that has all of our stories written down. And we can access our past lifetimes through the Akasha. And our past lifetimes hold all the information of anything that we ever experienced, including every single trauma, but also every single empowerment. So when I started doing Akashic work, and now, it's been about 10 years that I've been doing this work. What we do is when someone comes to us, or when I have some patterns show up, we go into the Akasha and we say, when was the first time this ever happened throughout all of our incarnations? And we then journey back to that lifetime and we see the story of what happened. We went from the positive and from the empowerment to some kind of, it can be even something, a small trauma where we felt unseen or something, and it created that pattern that actually goes like a red thread through all of our different lifetimes. Not necessarily every single lifetime, but it weaves through many, many lifetimes into the here and now. And when we get to the root of it and clear it and heal it and even look at the soul lesson, what did my soul want to learn through that experience? Then that energy becomes resolved in the Akasha. And you can imagine that root lifetime like the roots of a tree, and all of other lifetimes like the branches of a tree. And if you pluck out the roots, all these branches fall away. So you don't have to chop off every single branch to clear every single lifetime and every single trauma.
Or every single leaf.
Every single leaf, exactly. So you just find the root, and then it's just like that energy moves through all your other lifetimes that hold that same energy into the here and now and just like transforms it and diffuses it. And that is when you let go of the pattern. And what we have found, it's really important to uncover the soul lesson, because our soul chose that experience on some level. And then we had the experience happening, and we didn't remember that it was a conscious choice that our soul made before the incarnation. And we move into trauma and pain. But the moment the soul goes, oh, this is my lesson. I wanted to learn how to love more, or to become more compassionate, or to be more within myself instead of relying on the opinions of others. Oh, I'm getting it now on this really deep soul level. And that's when we can let go of the pain, the trauma, and therefore the pattern.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So how do we do it?
How do we do it?
How do we do it already?
You do the Indigo Warrior training with us. Teach you how to do it. I mean, the thing is, even in our trainings, we're telling people, okay, look at what that pattern is in this lifetime when it first showed up.
Mm.
And what is the lesson? And if you cannot read the Akasha, you can start working on your own lifetime. What is the lesson that I'm learning? What is the pattern that is currently showing up in my lifetime that is giving me grief or even challenges?
Okay, so can I give you an example?
Yeah,
that
give me
you
an
can.
example,
Okay, so
yeah.
we'll do a little. I mean,
Yeah,
we'll do a
give
little
me an
work right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I find, and this is just such a cool work that I feel like is so awesome to do. I find that there are different things in the world or different things in my life that have upset me for different reasons. I thought they were different reasons. And something would happen, like let's say, I thought they were random different things. But then I did some work, and it might have even been some of the work we did. I got to the point where I realized all of the pain that I was feeling all kind of came to a feeling that I had of futility. So what I realized is I would get really upset about the environment and seeing people using plastic and straws and running water to like, whatever. And it was just painful for me. I mean, I've been in the environment, like working with bigger people, smaller people, all the trees, the roots, to everything. And I just felt this pain of futility. And then different things would happen in my life where I would plan something and it wouldn't go the way I expected, or some kind of thing. And I would be sad about it. And I realized if I really stripped it down to the deepest aspect of me, it was a feeling of like, what the bleep? Like, what does it matter if I even do this or that? What does it matter if I don't, do plastic or don't do plastic? What does it matter if I work hard, I read a book, do this, whatever, and I don't get the result I want? What the belief does it matter? And I realized, whoa, that is very, very deep within me. And then I found when something would bug me, and I would be upset about it or angry or sad or frustrated, it was like, yeah, that taps into my futility thing. So that was helpful for me to realize that I don't have like a lot of different pains. I just have one that's kind of major. But it really helped bring it home kind of, and then to work with it. So kind of like that. So what do you think about that? Poor Sunny, feels futile.
See, let's say we would do a session, I would say to you, well, what is underneath the feeling of futility? Because there is something underneath. So when you see all these things and you're feeling, I can do all this work and nothing is changing besides me doing all this work. I have all these amazing shows. I'm talking to all these people individually and they're still using plastic bottles and still getting their straws while we're having lunch talking about plastic. And it's making me feel angry or challenged. So what is the emotion that is coming up underneath the futility for you, Sunny? Sadness. Yeah. And why? Why are you feeling sad about this?
I mean, I think it ties into that, I'm not enough thing, whatever. It's like, I mean, I was so sad when I wrote this article for Whole Life Times and something didn't happen. I didn't get credit for something. And and it was such an important article for me. And it was such a little thing. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But for me, it really, really got me. And it was just sort of, I guess, not being seen. Like, I do all this work. I've had all these years experience, and I want to share it. I want it to be out there or something like that. And then it just doesn't matter. It's like, what does it matter? What does any of this matter? What's it all about, Alfie?
So I would say there is a feeling of failure underneath, right?
Okay.
If I see that right, I do all these things and nothing is working.
Well, I mean, it feels like, I would even say, I feel like the futility feels underneath the failure, because the futility feels like it's not just my not making something happen or people not meeting me but where I want. It's sort of the futility of what does it matter? It's not even just my futility. It's my feeling of global futility. It's my sadness.
Probably significance, like what I do is not enough because I'm a little girl and the grown-ups are doing great things and I'm just tiny and
it feels like also, it feels like the feeling that I actually have does feel like the futility is underneath everything. I think other than sadness is kind of right there, because I think of things like what's going on in Venezuela and what is, what's happening and what's not happening. And, and I feel a futility about it, so I would say that feeling of, impetus, impotence, like that. So,
Yeah, and for me, I'm going to go into the Akashic perspective here for a moment. For me, when I tune in, I have a feeling, I'm getting images and emotions of many, many lifetimes where you wanted to create something to change the world. Where you would literally, your soul would come in with this mission of creating some amazing and great change. And no matter how hard you tried, it felt like you never succeeded the way you wanted to succeed. And it's like this cycle that your soul has been in, having this grand plan and somehow not being able to fulfill it all the way, at least. And there is like this energy of, wanting to give up because I've tried it for so many incarnations and nothing has worked. And we're still where we're at. We could be somewhere different, but we're still over here instead of over here. And I feel like this heaviness in your field when I tune into that, because you've been carrying that burden of wanting to create change for many, many lifetimes. Like I'd say for millennia, because you're an old soul, as we know. And what I feel is what needs to happen is, again, this is, I'm going to go more to the logical mind for people who don't know how to access the Akasha. Let's say you have these feelings of futility, this feeling of failure, this feeling of I cannot do enough. What is the best way to change it? Because as long as we have that feeling within us, it's being reflected by our environment. If we feel impotent, if we feel like no matter how hard we try, nothing is shifting, that is what's being reflected by our environment. We do 25,000 lectures on plastic and nothing is changing. So what we need to change is how we feel about it. Because if we feel empowered within, then we can go out and we do 3 talks in plastic and it's going to change a lot. So what you want to do is you want to sit in that energy of futility and ask yourself what other emotions are coming up. What else am I feeling? And it might be even memories you have from when you were a little kid and tried to do something and it didn't work out. It might even be just like something you cannot even place because it's a past lifetime, it's genetics, it's from your ancestors. Sit in the energy and just feel it for a moment, because we first need to feel it before we can release it. And the moment you tap into that energy, you can then go, okay, this is how I feel. And like I'm actually wanting to go like this as I'm just talking about this and crawl up in a little ball because it feels so heavy. And then you just say, I forgive myself. You can do the Ho'oponopono. I love you. I forgive you. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. I forgive you. Thank you. And just repeat that. Forgive yourself for all these times where you felt you failed. Forgive yourselves for all these times where you tried to do something and it didn't work out. Say to yourself, I forgive you. Say to the world, I forgive you. And say, I forgive you until you feel that energy shift. Because we need to find the counter emotion of what we're experiencing. And just saying, I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry, thank you, or just I forgive you, I forgive myself a few times, I actually already feel the energy shift.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's I was already embodied in that. I have a question. That very primitive energy that imprints that pattern of behavior, we all have ours. Do you think, since you go to the Akasha, is that an experience that happened to our individual energy being, or could it be, since we all have access to that universal consciousness, could it be someone else's experience that not necessarily happened in the past but is simultaneously happened, and we are just, because of our own vibration, having like a ripple effect of that?
I feel it can be both. Absolutely right, Marina. It can be absolutely both. And it can be something that we have in our own field. Or a lot of us are empathic or highly sensitive. We're tapping into the collective consciousness of what is going on in the world. So it can be both. But I don't think it matters. The main thing that matters is what we're feeling. So, if we're feeling heavy or burdened, then we're feeling it for whatever reason, even if it's not ours, but from the collective, there is still a trigger within us that is making us feel like this.
I
So-
love it. I love that you said that it doesn't matter, because what I was going to ask you then was, okay, if we have the capability of tuning to something else that is happening, negatively, but now we know that nothing is actually negative. We've been learning from but we could also, if we decide to tune in to that awesome thing that is happening to someone else in the planet, and also cause a ripple effect with our unhappiness, and say, you know what, let everybody else feel the happiness I'm feeling today. I want to share it with the world.
Yes, I love that.
Yay. And that's actually so perfect, because it does, again, we are not separate. And these words that we say and we hear and we read and people say to us, there is only one, there's only one out there or in here and all of that. It's hard to, we also, like, I think I'm over here and you're there and you're there.
Yeah.
And so when we realize that if we can step into it energetically first, I think it's one way to kind of introduce us to that concept. Not introduce us because we know it intellectually, but introduce us to it, to us vibrationally and physically and bodily and everything. And then, like you're saying, if we do the work on ourselves, and we were having a show with Dr. Sue, and she was saying the same thing about if we really, it really does start with us.
Yeah.
Peace does begin with us, all of that. And so if it doesn't matter, and we are feeling it, and maybe it's coming to us because we are certain tuning forks out there, and we can up level, or we can, bring it down, bring it up, bring it all around, do the hokey pokey and make it all happen, then we are up leveling, like you say, the person 13,000 miles away or in the same room with us.
Yeah. Isn't there the saying, when a dove flaps its wings in China, its ripple effects can be felt all over the world? I think that's how the quote goes. So it really is like that. And I also call it, what you're saying, if I feel something within myself, I always say there is a feeding ground within me that is attracting me to feel that emotion. Let's say I'm in the presence of someone who's really, really angry, and I also all of a sudden feel that anger within myself, because I'm an empath, I'm highly sensitive. I have that something within myself that is allowing that person's energy to enter my field. So again, you do what I just shared with you. You sit in that energy. Why am I feeling this person's anger? Why am I feeling this? And you reverse it into joy. You do the forgiveness. And then when you're in the field of someone who's really angry, and because you resolved your own triggers, you can hold that space of joy. And maybe instead of that person affecting you with his or her anger, you're affecting that person with your joy. You're imprinting that person with that energy. And that is, what I feel like we're, kind of like the pioneers who are doing this work are being called to do. How can I bring more joy into my life? And how can I start imprinting the world with joy?
One thing I want to say about that, thank you so much. I was just thinking about something that goes on in the world, and I'm noticing it so much, or in my world. When situations, like even yesterday, we were doing a show, Myrna and I and Angel were doing a show. And we had all kinds of things that were going on that were not working. This was not happening. The microphone, our guest was all over the place. And it was, we're trying to bring it in. And I just started laughing and cracking up. I found it completely hilarious. And so did Myrna, right? And we just brought the whole thing to funny and joy. I have noticed that many different times in my life, and people have told me later too, where a situation was getting like, not necessarily like a sad situation, like someone dying, but something where it's just all like, oh my God, what's happening? And it feels really negative. And then when I start laughing, because I see the kind of humor in it all, it's sort of this slapstick, like, oh my God, now we've lost the phone. Oh my God, the pot is, the teapot is burning. Oh my God, oh my God. Somebody could just be all like, damn it, and just be pissed off and everything. And then when I just start laughing, then everybody just starts laughing, and it completely changes the energy in like 1 second.
Yeah.
And so, the joy, we forget about that, the word light in enlightenment.
Yeah.
Enlightenment. So lighten up, people, shall we?
Yeah.
And I think that it allows the space. It allows a little more space in our everything, in our cellular structure, to let things move more easily in the flow. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I think it's so important, and I feel like there is a certain seriousness with which we're trained to show up in our life. But we have to be serious at work. We have to be serious at our job. We have to be serious about this and this and that. No, we bring in the joy, and with the joy, things go into flow. Because if you had, I said yesterday with the situation, like if you had become stuck on the anger or the frustration, you would have moved deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. But you kind of like blew out of that bubble of frustration by just laughing. And then, the solutions come in the lightness. They don't come in when we go into the frustration, because we tense up our muscles. And when we're tense, the energy cannot flow. But when we laugh, we're opening ourselves up to that energetic flow, and the solutions come in. The doors start to open.
Yes.
What I found out about laughing too is, Kristie, you're a singer and I'm a singer, or I would call myself a person who sings. I do many things. And I noticed that sometimes I'll get nervous before I'm performing, and so I'll start getting little weirdness with my throat. And sometimes, you clear your throat that way, which is kind of the worst thing to do. And what I found is, instead of doing that, I'll start fake laughing. And of course, I really laugh.
I love it.
And it clears my throat, but it's better clearing the throat than doing that cough thing, because that kind of screws around with your vocal cords. And so I found that very funny, of course, because when I'm like, hee, whatever.
I think we could do a whole segment on laugh and the importance of joy, definitely. You know what I think, like in situations like the one we had yesterday and many more, is that you remove the seriousness of like the vital importance of what you're doing. Yes, what we're doing is important, what we do matters, but it's irrelevant to the scheme of the whole universe. So be bold, be authentic, and laugh. And you see how it changes. Sonny started laughing, and all of a sudden, the things just solved by themselves. We just went through normally. None of the problems we had before existed at that point, and we were able to keep it rolling, and it ended up being amazing.
Oh my God, so fun. Now, I know that we have a little bit of time, so I want to make sure that we get to everything. And Kristie, I'd like to ask you a little bit about specifically about, two things, about the Avatria. I want to say that right. Avatria. So that's an online course that you guys are just starting, or it's been in the last few weeks.
Yes. Yeah, we're offering different online courses, and the main thing we're focusing on are the indigos right now. And if your audience hasn't heard about the indigos, it's an amazing, topic. It's the indigos are pretty much, just to make it short, they're the change makers of the world. They're the people who are coming in fully activated, knowing, we need to create a change. No matter if we need to change the structures of, education or government or healthcare, they're the change makers on this planet. So our programs are really to empower the spiritual change makers, the spiritual leaders, the spiritual healers. Because, in the past, I've done a lot of work that was one-on-one sessions. And I can only have one person per session, and I can only do so many a day. But what we want to do is we want to empower people to become their own change maker. And a lot of the indigos, because they were so fully activated coming in, that a lot of them, were pushing the authorities early on in life. A lot of these kids who are labeled with ADD and ADHD these days and medicated are often indigos or crystal or rainbow child. They're here to change the systems. And that's the reason why they don't really submit to authority. And that's the reason why they're being told, you have opposition defiance disorder or social behavior disorder, let's medicate you. So a lot of these indigos early on in life shut down their gifts and their abilities and their empowerments. So our mission is to re-empower these indigos and say, no, you are awesome. You're a change maker. Find your gift, find your calling. What is it that you came here to do? Go out into the world and do it.
Set them free.
Set them free. Yeah, and we're doing it through the Akasha, because again, a lot of these indigos, like you, like I said, you've been here for so many incarnations trying to change the system of the world that have kept us disempowered, that have kept us feeling small. And because a lot of us carry that energy of failure, of having tried it so many times and not being able to succeed, we need to go and dive into these traumas and into these failures, heal them, transform the energy around it, so we can be fully empowered with a mission that we came here to do in this lifetime and actually succeed in this lifetime. And that is what we're teaching people to do.
Ooh. And your daughter is definitely an indigo, Myrna.
Well, I think so. I think she has many things that there's 100 stories that I could tell you about her. But what would you recommend to us as parents when we see something that it's not the normal on our kids?
I think a lot of the time it's just communicate and listen. One thing I found about the indigos is that they need to have things explained to them like they're an adult. When you talk to them like they're a 5-year-old, they will not get it. Or if you just tell them, you need to do this, they will say, why? But if you tell them why, they will most likely get it. They need a lot of explanation, because they come in wanting to bust, we call them system busters. So they're wanting to bust the system, even the system of parenting. But if you explain to you, I need you to clean your room because of these reasons, or I need to do this because of these reasons, they will get it. And then also what is really important, just like to add one more thing to your question, Myrna, because the indigos often feel different, because they have different abilities. A lot of these kids are even highly intuitive at an early age, and the education system is not really set up to support these beautiful gifts. Quite the opposite. Or a lot of the other kids in school don't have, a spiritual mother like you are, or a spiritual mother like you are. And so it's important for them to make sure that they know that being different is nothing bad. And when they express these gifts at home that are not really acknowledged in school or in our society yet, that you as a mother, as a parent, for all the parents who listen, that you as a parent acknowledge these gifts and don't shut them down. Let's say your kids comes in and say, I see spirits. You don't say, oh, you're just making this up. You just talk them through it. And then say, and give them some tools how to work with these things. It's just really being present and listening.
I'm going to add a word to our conversation. It is a Sanskrit word that I learned from our dear friend last night. We had dinner with Sujan Datta, he says. Excuse me, I need to laugh.
We did a lot of laughing.
Yes, who is Yogananda's great nephew, and he was talking that the word has been really coming to him through his lineage, through his great uncle Sunya, which is a Sanskrit word for listen. And of course, any word that's Sanskrit that's translated to English perhaps loses quite a bit in the translation. We think of listening as a very simple act, but as we were talking about it last night at dinner, it's a very, very deep concept, very wide aspect of listening, what that actually means. Yeah. So I just wanted to add that to our conversation for moms in the world.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you.
I find that with listening with kids, and I find that how helpful it is, even when I deal with other kids who are not my own. I mean, I notice that because I'm pretty chatty and I have a lot of opinions and I think I have a lot of wisdom, and sometimes it's really about zip it, it's it's not the time to be putting on people. And also what I'm noticing is, as a short example, my son, both of my sons have done fashion. I was a clothes designer for a really long time, had a big company, did the whole thing. And I do not give my kids 1 ounce of advice unless they ask me, not even 1 ounce. And why do I do that? Not because I was successful. I mean, I have a lot of wisdom about it. Life is so new now. Everything is so different. So the way they're doing things is so different. The way they market, the way they communicate, the way they have the clothes made, what they do, how they design, how they go on, Twitter or Instagram these days or whatever. It's completely different than my day. In my day, it's old news. It's just old news. I admit it freely. So what made me think of it when you were saying these indigo spirits are coming through with new, fresh information. And that's why I say to myself, listen, Sunya, because I get the benefit of, yes, I have my wisdom from the olden days, but I get the new, fresh wisdom that's coming through. Do you find that so
absolutely.
much?
And in my research for our documentary series, that's what I'm finding. I was looking at all these kids who are, 11, 12, 13 years old and are winning all the Google Science Awards and creating this amazing technology. Some of your audience might have heard of Boy and Slut, who is, as a teen, I think he's in his early 20s now, but as a teenager, he created a new technology to clean the ocean from all this waste. And he's doing something called the ocean cleanup, but he started, I think, when he was 16. And I don't think that information would have gone through if the parents had said, this is silly, let's shutting it down. Or I interviewed this guy called Felix Fickbeiner, who at the age of 8 heard about climate change. He had to write an essay about climate change in his school. And then he read about a woman in Kenya who planted, I think, 10 million trees to counter the effects of climate change. And he found, at the age of 8, he founded an organization called Plant for the Planet. And so far, they have planted, I think, 13 billion trees, and his goal is to plant 1 trillion trees. And that happened in the past 11 years. And these kids hired scientists to figure out how many trees we need to plant to create a bridge until we have clean energy. They founded their own company to sell chocolate, and it's all solar powered, organic chocolate, fair trade cacao, to finance the buying of new tree saplings so they can plant the trees. And these are, the kids who are coming through. Those are the indigos and the rainbow children who are here to change our world. So again, Sunya, as a parent, listen to these kids who have these incredible ideas, who have this motivation and that inspiration that might not fit the status quo that we're used to, because they're here to change the status quo. Listen to what your children are telling you and see how you can support these amazing beings.
That's beautiful. That's why I always get optimistic about the world. To me, my world is not ending. My world is not ending. There's still a lot to see, and there's still a lot of people that it's ready to show their magic.
Yeah,
even more. Excuse me, even more than ever. And I think there are times when people say to me, "Oh, those kids, those millennials, or those kids are on their tablets and their phones." It's like, no, they feel in their nervous system the alarm going off. They feel the urgency of change. And like, I really think, I feel what you're saying is true, that they've come through as babies with this new energy, this new sprout, this new, tree that they are going to be themselves. And so, yes, it is for us to just allow it to happen. If they do have ideas, they want to go and they want to feed the homeless, or they want to be dealing with the prison system, or they want to do, whatever it is. I mean, it's like, let's just give them the, just follow their spiritual breadcrumbs.
You know what? Probably, maybe they are isolated. It's, in their tablets and in their phones, because they just don't want to hear what we have to say, because we've been chanting the same song for too long. They're ready to stop listening and just start acting.
That's it. And that's what I feel is happening so many places. And I love that story about Felix. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. So I know we're going to wrap this up in a minute or so. So I want to give you, Kristie, a last minute to share your last thoughts.
My last thoughts. So since I'm all about empowering people, that is kind of like my thing I feel I came here to do, no matter if it's through my media or my coaching programs that I do with my husband. So what I want to invite the Mindalia audience is, if you have a dream, if you believe there is something you can do, no matter how insignificant you feel it is, or how insignificant you were told your dream is, you can do it. you have this dream of changing something, of creating something in this world because it has a purpose and because it's connected to your mission. So I want you to really invite you and give you that permission to go for your dream and do the thing that's in your heart. And and if you have so many things going on in your life, you don't have to change your life in 180 overnight. Take an action step every single day to move towards that goal. Ask yourself, what can I do today? What can I do tomorrow, this week, this month, this year to get me to that goal, and start implementing it, because you deserve it and the world needs that dream that you have.
Mm.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. And allow us to have your information. How can our audience find you, Kristie?
So my personal website is kristiereeves.com, KRISTIEREEVES.com. And then our academy, which I run with my husband, is avaitria.com. It's AVAITRIA.com, Avaitria.
Thank you. And our dear Sonny, son of our show, where can our audience find you?
Let's see, you can find me at Solutionary Sundays on Sunday on ABC, and you can find me on, of course, here next week, and in the Whole Lifetimes magazine, which I don't have one around here, but there are articles in there, and my website's in there, and like that. And you can also, if you have any questions or ideas for the show, you can text or email me at sunny@let'simagine.live. And I'd love to hear from you guys anytime. So that's the story, girl.
Thank you. What a great pleasure. I think that nobody is going to disagree with me that I have the greatest opportunity every day to be meeting with people like you. I am so honored. I'm so blessed that I get to share time with so much wisdom and light and love.
Thank
That's
you.
my thank you to you guys. And to our to our wonderful audience, thank you for being with us on a daily basis. We truly appreciate it. Thank you for helping us achieve our goal, which is just share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world. If one of you listened, and if one of you, smiled today and decided that you want to live a better life, our mission is accomplished. We want to thank you again, and we send a big hug to wherever you are. And until next time.
Bye.
Bye.